Institute is going to moderate a session on how mobility is changing the industrial landscape. So, Michael, please come out and introduce your panel and bring them out. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, David, and thanks to all of you for coming to join us. I'll actually ask my panel to introduce themselves by name and title and rank, I guess, in a moment. But the topic we're going to talk about is mobile. And you might say, oh, mobile, really? Decades after we started thinking about mobile, why? At least in our research, we found a tremendous amount of additional potential in mobile, despite the fact we've seen so much innovation and adoption already. Take, for example, the fact that right now we should be proud of it, right? About 2 billion people around the world are connected to the internet. But how many people live in the world? Something closer to 7. We're not even halfway there yet. And so if you think about the potential going forward, we're going to talk a little bit about places where mobile is that you might be surprised to find it. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of mobile, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to actually execute this in an effective way with some of our distinguished panel here. Why don't we just go down quick. Peter, just describe who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Peter Burman, and I'm working for a mining company in the northern part of Sweden. And yesterday I was sitting together eating the dinner together with a girl in fashion, so I thought I need to step up. So this is actually the clothes we are wearing. You need to have this on if you go down into a Swedish mine, so you will not be run over by a mining truck. So what I do for a living, I'm heading the mine automation program, and we are now building wireless networks in all our mines. And we are also aiming for mining robots.
Shirley?
Hi, Geraldine Calvin. I am the SVP and Global Head of Marketing and Digital for Hilton Worldwide. Fantastic job, fantastic company. I've been with the company 13 years. And so I look forward to talking to you a bit more today about what we are doing in mobile and our thoughts.
And Eric?
Eric Ikuren with Ericsson. I'm head of technology strategy for the Ericsson Group, based here in San Jose.
Great. So we have a high percentage of Swedes. Why don't we start with the one who's come from
and
the far...
Scot.
And a Scot.
We all belong with this.
It's very diverse on this panel. All right. Why don't we start with the gentleman who has the most prominent attire and has come the longest distance. First of all, what's the town you're from? And what in the world is going on with mobile in a mine?
You ask what town I come from? Oh, it's Skellefteå. It's well known all over the world because the best ice hockey in Europe is played in my hometown.
I'm Canadian, be careful, but okay, go ahead.
But it's true. No, I mean, the reason why we are aiming for the wireless network, it is in Scandinavia, we have high salaries, we have very low tolerance for work-related injuries, and the environmental protection laws are strict. So you could look at it that these are negative drivers, but you could also turn it around. I mean, we like to have a good environment for our kids to grow up in. We want our colleagues to come home in the evening and not being hurt in the job. And it's good that they're well paid. But to succeed in a competitive market, the only solution for us is to embrace the technology. And that the mining company I'm working for is striving to have the newest technology, and we try to integrate it into our work processes. And you had heard that in some of the sessions here today and also yesterday, how important it is when you're driving change, that technology is only one part of it. So in the mine automation program, it's not only engineers. We also have people that is working with the work processes and pushing this new technology into the organizations.
But seriously, you have mobile phones in your mine. How deep is the mine?
1,400 meters is the deepest right now, and we are still digging.
And I understand you told me you use Skype while you're down there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the first time I realized what we were really achieving it, I was late for dinner. And I realized I didn't have my old mine radio didn't work. And this was when we were deploying the wireless network. And I was 1,000 meters under the ground. And then I took my laptop, I put it up on the hood on my car, and then I Skyped to my wife, a video call, and told her, darling, I'm late for dinner.
What did she say?
She said, where are you?
Yes, it's in the dog.
I said, in the mine. Okay, she's an engineer also. So I think that now when we see people, the miners, when they have their own laptops, they have these phones, and we have all the machines in the mine that is connected to also a positioning system. So I can see in a 3D map how they are moving around, and I can trace all the workers where they are for safety reasons. I think I can say that 3 years later, we did it. And that's also the reason why we're now teaming up with Ericsson. It is that the wireless network we have today, they are good, but they could perform better. And we think that the wireless technology from Ericsson could help us, especially 5G. And that's why we are teaming up with you guys, and hope that you will build us more robust network that is easier to deploy.
So that's remarkable on the safety side too, right? There's this movie coming out, The 33 or something like that, where they, it was difficult finding the miners. What you're saying is with that, you're tracking wherever.
Yes, we trace the phones. Yeah. I can tell you the story about how you convinced the Swedish unions to allow the company to trace their members.
Let's come back to that.
Yeah.
And hold people in suspense a little bit. Geraldine, you said to me at some point that mobile is transforming the travel industry. What did you mean by that?
It is transforming travel. We've talked a lot about it today. It's transforming every single one of our businesses. In travel, if you think about it, travel is by its very nature mobile. You move to travel. So before you had devices to help you move to travel, we navigated getting a car, getting to the hotel, getting on your flight, boarding the plane, all of that. If you look at in the last, for those of you that flew today, I would probably guess that maybe 90% of you checked in before you got onto your plane and picked your seat. And so that, again, 5 years ago, generally is enabled through mobile and was not available before we had those mobile devices. It was also a big pain point for travel. And so if you think about travel today, your mobile device becomes your boarding pass. It lets you check in before you get there. You can order your car from whatever firm you want to use. And then, we in hotel and hospitality are trying to add on to that, i.e. in our company, we now allow you to check in using your phone. We allow you to choose your room in the same way that you can choose your seat on an airline, which floor you want to be on, where you want to be on the floor. And now we're beginning to use the mobile phone as the key to get into the room. Going forward, we will then personalize the room experience to the information that you want to give us. So that can be, we'll preset the temperature for your preferred temperature, pre-stock the minibar with Diet Coke or whatever it is that you prefer. And if you don't want us to do that, then you can disable that functionality. So transforming travel, it really is about making what is generally a very enjoyable experience, and people want to travel, but it can be a bit of friction in it. Using mobile technology, the airlines, the car hire firms, the taxi firms, and the hotel companies are kind of really using the mobile device to make what is a mobile journey a lot seamless and a lot easier.
So that all makes sense. And I think a lot of people in the room would say, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that all makes sense. But you talk a little bit about what it actually took to make that happen, what it took to execute on that, because it seems like the sort of thing that, well, gosh, just write an app, we're done.
I think it took about 10 years off my life. No, it was a lot of late nights, a lot of people involved. So the rollout of mobile check-in, we did it at 4,500 hotels, which is around 750,000 rooms that we had to put on a little map. And also engage our team members at front desk. So, we approached and did that first because it's customer driven. We know that check-in was a pain point for customers. So we went after that first. 100% of our guests, 100% of the time need to check in. So again, take the friction out of a big pain point. And how we executed on it was really have a very clear, we talked about it in an earlier session, North Star. Where do we want to get to? Not how do we get there, where do we want to get to? And then engage the right teams in technology, in digital, in marketing to navigate how we get there, how we got there. And I think, the success, we deployed that at 4,000 hotels in 6 months. And we were able to do that at scale. We had a proprietary platform that we had in all of our hotels. So that was a huge win. we have to be able to, I think, pivot when you realize that the direction that you're going in or the approach that you've taken isn't quite right. So scope creep and all of those kind of words, if you're going to do something really revolutionary at scale, scope will creep because you will change your mind and you'll learn as you go through the process. And I think, call it like it is. So a lot of the times I've said that our program status when we were doing that was yellow. And I think if it's not yellow, you're either not trying hard enough, you're not moving fast enough, or you're not being honest with your stakeholders. So I do think that, what is it? Breathe in your victories, breathe out your mistakes, and do it quickly. So, yeah.
How would the rest of the management team take that if, your projects are always yellow? Don't they want it to be green all the time?
Of course, yes. Everybody wants it to be green all the time. I honestly think there's a great deal of trust when you do move, and we have this program status thing that trends the status by week, so that you can see if it's been green for 5 weeks or yellow or red, worse still, for 5 weeks, i.e. you can get that. Is it moving in and out of health? And I think the transparency and the frequent communication builds trust so that they let management let you go on with it, and they also approve your next project pretty quickly.
Erica, your company actually is responsible for a lot of the infrastructure that enables, communicating to a mine, transforming the travel business. What's changed, though, right? I mean, we've been looking at mobile for so long. How are things changing, and why is it important now?
Yeah, you're right. Some things are changing. Some things, I would say, still are like it has been for a long time. If you look at some of the data, you mentioned some of the stats in the beginning here. We have around 7.5 billion mobile subscriptions in the world. Only around 40% of those are mobile broadband. The rest, 60%, is still on 2G technology, so big differences in the world. We still have that difference. We also see LTE here in North America, more than 50%. In another 4 or 5 years, we will have more than 90%. But if you go to Africa and Middle East, we're talking about basically start of 4G LTE now, and in another 5 years, we will have 20% LTE there. So it's a big difference in terms of network capabilities around the world. And one thing that we have to be really good at is to make sure that it works well no matter where you show up in the world, so that the wide area network is not the same. You have to adapt to where you are. But the one thing that is really changing is that now we are engaging with industries far beyond the smartphones and the social networking, the apps that we are used to. The mines, I think, is an excellent example, where we actually will rebuild the network from being just connectivity to being a complete network platform, where you have also the cloud part, you have the network storage part, and all of this is basically available at the same click of a button as when you order things from Amazon today, or when you order an account on Box or Dropbox. These type of network features, not only network connectivity, but also storage and compute, all the way out to the base station, all the way out to the infrastructure to get good quality and good security. That hasn't been there before. And we sometimes call that the first step into 5G, the 5G-ready core network, when you start to virtualize, horizontalize, cloudify your whole network infrastructure. And then basically 3, 4, 5 years into the future, we'll start to get even more capable access system. That's when we talk about the 5G access. Really higher performance, lower latency, certainly higher capacity for all the video traffic and the IoT traffic, but also much more reliability, much more secure performance. And if you think of it, today we have multiple infrastructures serving slightly different needs. We have a public infrastructure serving our smartphones. We may have a separate infrastructure for the public safety. We have another infrastructure for the broadcast, for the media industry, and maybe still very much a separate infrastructure for the mines and the heavy industries. Going forward, all these industries will be able to ride on one and the same physical infrastructure, sharing the infrastructure with good separation of quality, security, and all those things that matters, so that the mining company, at a click of a button, you basically order as you order web services today, and you will spin up your whole network platform. And that is news. That is not something that we've had so far. It's easy access to it, and also very, very much for sort of allowing anyone to interface with a complete platform. It's not like the 30 days of emails and faxes and signing all kinds of or papers to get it done. You do it at the click of a button. So all of those things I would say are really novel now.
So you see the potential for really changing the customer relationship with enterprises, even small and medium-sized.
Well, I would start with the experience that any startup here in the Valley has today, which is that they don't invest in heavy enterprise IT backends. They select the 3 or 4 partners that they would like to work with, and they sign up for their company. It may be a small company to start with, and it can grow. The same type of behavior we would like to have for any company, SMBs, enterprises, Fortune 500. When you interface with the new cloud, the network distributed cloud, when you put your applications not only on the central locations, but also into the infrastructure, that will change the user experience. That will change everything from how the performance of the apps work in terms of low latency, in terms of basically having low cost, in terms of not sending more data than you need and so forth. But all these things will of course change both the customer-facing part as well as a more back-end heavy classical IT side. New processor for that, we call it network slicing, basically getting access to this at the click of a button. So you're right.
I have a question to Eric. I mean, in 2 weeks' time, I will have a stand in front of all the IT people in our company. Could you come and explain this for them?
Absolutely, Peter. I'm happy to come to Skellefteå and Sweden, you know that. Well, I think that this is a transformation that takes some explanation. So I sort of take you up on the challenge, because what you're essentially doing is that you are starting to think that you may not need that heavy backend, your own on-premise IT infrastructure. You sign up with the companies and the providers that you need, and part of this is really about a completely new user experience. Part of it is really about changing the complete infrastructure that you have. So you have those 2 levers both at the same time.
Let's pull on that thread a little bit about how the technology changes the way that organizations operate. Petter, you were saying that, you alluded to before that, in fact, the way you managed labor had to change as a result of the capabilities the technology gave you. Can you talk a little more about how that worked and what had to happen?
It was a challenge because I had a goal. It was to trace all the miners in the mine in real time, and then how to convince the unions. So I ended up in a sweat pit with the chairman for the unions. They were sitting around me, and I was sitting in the middle, and they were asking questions for 2 hours, like, could this technology be misused? I mean, what's the answer? Yes. Could they trace me when I go to the toilet? Yes. I don't know why, but the answer is yes. And then it was going on and going on. And then after a while, a girl from one of the unions said, I have an idea. We open up the system for everyone. Everyone will be able to see everything. And then the other people were looking at her. How are you thinking now? Because if the management start to trace us as workers, then we can trace management because we are carrying the same handset. And believe it or not, that was the decision. So I have an agreement signed from the unions in our company that it's okay to trace the workers as long as it's only real time, and we are also allowed to store the data into an encrypted database, like a black box. So in case of an emergency situation, we can unlock, and we can also afterwards do the analysis of the data to see what happened before the emergency situation. So that was quite interesting. It was like, now we have a situation where people need to learn what is okay and what is not okay when it comes to using this positioning service.
Might have some implications for broader than just mining companies in northern Sweden, perhaps.
Yeah. I would say that it was really important for us to get the unions on this, so they work together with us. And I mean, this could be a long discussion, but I would say that what started as a socialistic project in Sweden, when the government brought the unions into the boards of the big companies, it ended up that the unions has now been trained in fundamental economics. So when you talk to the Swedish unions today, they're very well informed. They know if you don't improve the productivity, they will die. The company will die. So I would say that we had quite a good dialogue with the unions when it comes to these productivity issues, and that we need to bring robots and new technology and remote control into the machines. I would say that if I was in management position in the company, I would think I would invent the Swedish unions, because they help us in this transformation. Because they are tough, but we can make a deal with them.
Interesting. We're going to have a few more questions here and then open it up to questions from the folks here. Geraldine, you also mentioned engaging the frontline staff as you thought about the implications for this technology, for mobile, particularly in the enterprise. Can you say more about what it took to actually, you talked about the thousands and thousands of people whose jobs changed?
So it is engaging team members on technology is a little tricky sometimes when you're in, we're in hospitality, so we're in a people business. And so whether you have a great experience at one of our hotels or a not so great experience, that would never happen. It's less about the product and the physical product, and it's more about how we greeted you and how we treated you in the service side. So engaging our team members, not training our team members, was really important to us for the success of making our mobile check-in and our digital key and everything else that we're doing to digitize the stay experience was really important. And so the first thing is we did very short training programs. We made them available on their mobile device, on their iPad or on their desktop so that they could sit at home and do the training. A gentleman mentioned earlier, really short. People have a very low attention span. Also really simple. So really get down to taking all the technology, all the acronyms, all the how we got to, and just being very simply direct and quickly talk to our team members about what they need to do differently, and more importantly, why they need to do it differently. What's the benefit to them and the benefit to their guests? And then we had coupled the training with competitions and fun things, like we did little buttons for them to wear that and we let that go viral. So rather than corporate, send out, we want you to wear this. They were kind of cute I Heart Digital buttons. If anybody's been in a Hilton, you might have seen them. But some of the team members found those and the word spread, and it was like a groundswell movement to the extent that we've now issued something like 60, 70,000 of these little buttons. And it makes them proud, but it's also a very simple, sort of promotional way for our team members to engage with our guests about our digital technology. So I think it's make it really simple, tell them what's in it for them, make it a little bit of fun, and track and measure as you go through. But it's not about training, it was more about engaging. I want all of those team members to be ambassadors for the company, but also the products and the services that we send out. So I hope that if you've been in one of our Hiltons, you will have experienced that.
Right. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll go to the lightning round.
There's one.
Rowan, right there.
Merritt Jano, Columbia University. I wonder if the panel could speak for a moment to what you see as the bottlenecks to absorbing this capability within the supply chain, not from the point of view of the mobile worker, but if you think about industries like agriculture, engineering, or mining, there are all sorts of bottlenecks to actually integrating this capability and having different parts of the supply chain, really use this data and integrate the services. So I just wonder if you might have a comment about what you see as the bottlenecks.
I can only speak for heavy industries like mines and stuff like that. And then I know that the security issues, they are big. I mean, if you open up and you digitize more or less your whole production, and you also expose your production units towards, for example, the cloud, I mean, you must be really sure that no one can go in and do something with your production. I mean, for example, in mining, we are aiming for having robots that will doing the charging of the explosives. Could you imagine if somebody were able to take control over that robot? So I would say that security is really important when you build this kind of new automation structures. It's a bottleneck.
Perfect.
And I would say that I guess it's a bottleneck or a challenge is integrating. If you make it really seamless for a customer, it means that you have to integrate it with all of the back-end systems that you have, whether that's, for in our case, our central reservation systems, our property systems, our personalization, CRM, etc. And I think that integration of a very new or a newish technology of the app, constantly evolving that, but making sure that it seamlessly connects with a bunch of other systems that are not necessarily that new, or making them able to talk to that. That's kind of a challenge, I think, for companies. Hilton's been around for nearly 100 years, so there is technology that's not been around for 100 years, but we have systems that are heavy transaction systems that somebody mentioned earlier about courage. It does take courage to open up a lot of these systems to what we historically as the supplier managed and allocated your room to, opening up all of that choice control technology to our guests. So it's a bottleneck, but it also takes courage to turn that, flip that, shift.
Great. All right, let's finish with the lightning round. Quick questions, quick answers. What's your favorite app on your phone right now? Eric.
Oh, well, favorite app, probably Waze, but I thought you were talking about enterprises, and there are no good enterprise apps.
That's an interesting answer as
No,
well.
no, so there are no good enterprise apps. But if we look at what Facebook have done in terms of mobile optimization for these different networks around the world, I think that's a good example. If we can get other companies, enterprises, to do as good a job as Facebook has done, then I would be happy.
Favorite app?
Seriously.
Seriously.
It is the Hilton Honors app. Only because, I'm not just saying that.
Okay.
Try it, choose your room, see how cute it is, really. And I'm not going to have to go to front desk tonight because I've got my key on my phone.
I would say Swish. Google that. It's an electronic wallet that is now big in Sweden, has millions of users. And in my hometown right now, we have shops that have put up a sign, we don't take cash anymore.
Wow. Other than those in your own company, what's the most innovative application of mobile in the enterprise that you've seen?
Oh, you don't have time for that.
Oh, he's the day
Honestly,
moderator.
when I visited another mining company in northern part of Sweden that is also building a network, an old guy came up to me. Hey, can I get the data from my machines? Yes. Can you monitor the vibration as well? Yes. I'm in road maintenance, and the idea must be, if you could put out on a map where the cars are vibrating, then I can send out my maintenance crew to the right spot. He was not trained, he was not educated, that was his idea. I think it's bright.
Great. Charlie?
It's in travel. I think, it took all the pain points and crashed through them. So Uber and Lyft and the likes are really, I think, disrupting and transforming, and again, taking the pain points out of the travel journey. And it is one of my second favorite app on my phone.
All right. Mobile in the enterprise.
Yeah, well, it's not apps again. It's more what's happening. We are actually connecting commercially vineyards now, and I think those type of real things, they are really exciting. And then, of course, mines are a great example of what we can do. So
Great. Thank you very much. Please thank our panel.
Thank you.